per game is.
Yeah, well, it's good to know that. I'm going ahead and recording, but yeah, so I'm doing some uh because this is yearly, Dennis, it's not
Yes,
weekly. So I mean
correct.
not everything is, but uh what I eventually going to, I'm just asking this third year breakout. I'm still on that scent.
Yeah,
I haven't
yeah.
dropped that scent. So, but to me, it's important to understand the reference forecasting level, right? What's an expected level from one year to the next, by experience? If you don't have that, then how do you know to call a breakout,
Oh
right? If
God,
you don't
yeah,
know
yeah.
what's normal, in other words, is year 2 to 3, is the metrics abnormal? They're higher than the years after and the years before. In other words, is there really something unique about that or not? I'm going to have the percentages between year that a player kept their level or better, you know, that kind of thing. In other words, what was their level? What did they move up or stay the same or go down? Just so it's kind of up or down, and I get percentages. Uh, so I'll tell you this: below 6, the chances that that rookie will produce 10 fantasy points per game or better, average year 2, 6%.
Yes. Yeah, that I don't
That's
find. Yeah.
460 samples.
Yeah.
So if year 2 to year 3, if that level is somehow double or triple 6%, then maybe there's something there,
Right.
but I don't know that. But I'm just establishing the percentages. So, uh, I should probably I can't stand have data out there, and I don't know. I guess I need some. Okay, so this is it here. You're seeing, so year one, 12 points or better, 10 to 12, 9 to 8, 6 to 7, and less than 6. The percentage, the numbers throwing out rookies. So I can't, if they're a rookie and they don't have a year 2, I can't count that, right? So I throw that out.
Right.
So this is the real number, the ones that had at least a year 2 or further in their career, right? So that's the number. And this number, so 44 is the ones above 10, and that's 80%. So if they had 12 fantasy points per game historically, and this is from 2000 to 2024, Dennis, so this is some good data here. I doubt people will have it further back. 88%, so 90%, it's I mean, they could injure and stuff, but 12% didn't make it. It's another way to look at it. 10 to 12, 70% made it back or higher than 10. 70%. So right there says that's some. I mean, if you were conservative, there's your cutoff. I don't want any rookie that can't produce
Oh
10
man.
or
Yeah.
better.
Yep.
Now, 9 to 8, it drops to half, Dennis. So there's your gamble. And then 6 to 7 is 22%. So really, if you can master pulling these guys out for year 2 in Dynasty, right, then you got something. Because your opponents, if they're not good at this, they're going to get mainly duds.
And I wonder, I wonder if looking at,
and again, just think of every other
yeah,
factor that we could look at. This is just, again, you've got to establish the numbers so you could then get deeper. And
right.
nobody ever establishes the numbers. Why am
No,
I having to tell you this data?
yeah,
Why
I would,
is this out here? So I get
and I,
cranky.
and I would guess if you asked, like, again, if we had the fantasy football panel that led off at Expo,
Yeah,
so we're talking some of the smartest people in the industry, right?
yeah.
Like they've been chosen for their ability not only to make good noise, but to be pretty damn smart for a long time. Like if you're a good noisemaker, but you don't have any expertise, I think you're going to be gone pretty fast. So the guys that have been there 10 years plus, who are good noisemakers, which is selected for, we know that,
Mm-hmm.
but also know their stuff. It, it's almost like doing this study for fantasy football analysts, from year, if they don't perform in the first 10 years, what's their success rate being paid going forward? And I would assume it's pretty low. Like you cannot continue to be stupid and just be hired because you're a good noisemaker. You have a track record, and people who are paying you money to do this for a living are going to weed out the bad predictors. So I think the people on the stage I have a lot of respect for. I don't always agree with them on strategies and stuff like that because I don't know if they see the big picture on some strategy plays. I think they're very good at the individual players. I'm not so sure they're experts on the strategy of winning. Like roster building strategy is not their expertise. But this group of people is smart when it comes to the players. I'd take Jim Coventry, his word on a player pretty high. But if you ask that panel that same question, how many, don't show them the final column with the percentages.
Yeah.
But if you score 8 or more fantasy football points, 8 to 9 fantasy football
Per
points
game average
as a rookie,
for the season.
how many of those players will repeat or better that performance the following year?
Yeah.
I would believe that they would have said at least 50 to 60%.
Yeah.
Not 36. If you had asked me and didn't show me that final column, I would have probably guessed close to half. And if you asked me on the 10 or above, I would have probably said maybe 75%. So I would have been closer on that than I would have on the other guys because I value too much of rookies getting better in year 2, like getting more opportunities in year 2. And I think some of the people that are in that 36%, and I'm going to throw a name out who might startle you because he hasn't done diddly squat yet. In fact, he wasn't even active for the first 3 games, maybe even 4 games. I forget if he was active last week or not. But Jadon Blue is going to be active this week for the Cowboys.
This is just wide receivers.
And he's going to start getting some opportunity, going forward. And this, this being wide receivers, the equivalent of that for wide receivers would be maybe a Matthew Golden, who hasn't done a lot yet. but by the end of the season,
Yeah, so
I'm
it
pretty
could
sure.
be these guys had a streak or
Yeah.
something.
Yes, and that's what I'm saying is I think Matthew
But
Golden will probably finish in that 10 round 10
yeah.
points per game
Well, here's the
at the end of
Sun
the year.
God. He got 13. So he's definitely
Yeah,
so he established himself.
but he
McConkey first year 15,
yep.
Brian Thomas
Oh yeah.
16, Neighbors 18. By the way, the champ, Beckham,
So Beckham, yeah, that makes
24.
sense.
But look at the gap historically, Dennis.
He never yeah, and he never came
Nobody
back to
broke
that.
20. No, I mean, the second year he
Yes.
got 20. But really, he stayed at an elite level for 5 years, but still
Oh yeah. Yeah.
stretched it six,
Yep.
7. He dropped by year 8.
Yep.
But
Yep.
somebody
But
like
he
Antoine Bolden stayed competent out year 9 and probably further. I just stopped
yep.
at year
Yep.
9.
Yep.
And Thomas had, boy, he had a renaissance year. I guess he missed
He was
year
hurt.
6,
Missed the whole
year
year. Missed
7, and
yeah.
then he declined the next. So he had enough for
Yep.
one great year and then flopped. So
And that
this
was all
is,
injuries. Yeah.
yeah, and you can look at some of these folks.
Holy crap. Evans has been super duper consistent.
Yeah,
Like
I
that's the
mean,
kind
so
of that's
yearly
the performance you
consistent.
want. That's what you want
Yeah,
for
yeah,
dynasty is
and
you want
and
those guys that last. Yeah.
uh, Waddle had a bad year last
Oh
year.
yeah, he did. Yeah.
Ayuk had a bad year. Uh, but you have somebody like Eddie Royal, great rookie, and boy, he really never replicated it.
No, no.
That kind of. So it's neat historically, Dennis. I enjoy seeing names of the past and just getting and it's probably uh, I need to do a yearly com or something. I could take these numbers
Yeah.
and get kind of a historical aspect and look at historical patterns. But
Yeah.
anyway, the for us next year, this data is, suggesting all the rookies this year, it's a slam dunk 10 or above.
Right.
Below from 6 to 9, we're going to fish. And
It,
below
yeah.
6, there better be something there that is, I mean, I guess if you could pick the 6%, you're probably even more amazing. You know what I'm
And
saying? And I don't
yes,
know what
yes.
that is yet, but like I said, this is not the end, folks. This is just establishing some parameters. My argument has always been, if you don't know the parameters, reference class forecasting, how can you make any judgments? And
Yeah.
yet, that's all happens every year, all sorts of opinions and judgments, and I never see, well, what's the normal of this? You say player A is it's their season. What is the compared to what? How many
Yes.
have their season every year? What's that percentage? And it's never spoken of like that. And I'm just,
So what
anyway, I
would
thought you would enjoy this
yeah.
little nibble here
So
because that's what we do.
one thing I want to look at in this group of 36 and 22 and even the 6 percenters.
Yeah, I can give you the names.
What I want to look at is how many times did these guys not play full games until
Yeah,
later in the season?
yeah,
Is there a pecking order like that? In other words,
yeah.
they
I
were
understand.
active. They were active, but they were the WR3 or WR4 on a team.
Right, right.
They were getting 30% of the snaps or whatever.
Mm-hmm,
And then as a year 2 guy,
mm-hmm.
because they showed some signs. Did these guys show some signs towards the end of the year?
Yeah, that kind of thing. Was there
What
a
was their
streak?
best 6 game
Yeah,
MVP?
I've got the
Yeah.
numbers.
Yeah,
and
I'm
the
fascinated to go in like if I've got these names,
yeah, I've
which
got the name.
obviously you'll give me,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
got the database. What I can then do in the off season
yeah,
is I can go back or during the season when I've got time because
yeah,
I've found that I'm getting incredibly um, I'm getting very good and efficient in
yeah,
producing the stuff that I produce.
yeah,
So I'm finding myself at the end of the week with little data studies of my own I'm playing with.
yeah.
And what I would be interested in doing is dissecting these guys
Right.
and seeing, okay, do these guys have something in common? But in order to do that, I got to look at the whole population
Yeah, yeah, you do.
because I've got to see how many of the unique traits that identified that small group
Yeah,
did those same traits exist in the failures?
yeah.
And that's the key. With the MVP index, what I found out, and the reason I made a big switch in how I'm looking at the data this year, remember, I always computed that as a 2 year window.
Hmm.
But what I'm discovering, or what I discovered during the off season,
Right.
that really startled me and really changed the way I'm thinking about data in fantasy football is I discovered that there are so many offensive changes that happen from one year to the next that 2023 when you're looking ahead to 2025 is like ancient history. It's like trying to
But
keep us out of a
I'm gonna
world
throw
war
this
by
back to you, Dennis. 88% stayed the
yes.
same next year. So
Yes.
there
Yes.
some players are probably able to keep it going
Yes.
regardless. I mean,
Yes.
that going from a rookie to year two and maintaining that level almost 90% says there's a consistency within the player. So it's
Yes.
not
And
just the team. So there
yeah.
might be
Oh,
player
well,
consistency,
yeah.
team consistency, or team change could
Yes.
inspire some
Well, remember
changes.
remember after Puka's rookie year, how many people were saying that was
17.7.
driven just by Cup not being there?
And
And
then
that
next year's
with
18.
with
Yeah.
Cup being back fresh, we're going to see Puka go back to being the WR2
Yeah.
on the team, and he's going to
And
drop way off.
And,
And he
and
went
by the
up.
way, anybody that can get 18, I mean, I'm predicting now when I see this, if you're 18 or better, you're
Oh
just
my
in
God!
rarefied air. Look at
Yes,
Bolden that third
yes.
year at 20. Here's Michael Thomas. Look at that, doing 2 years
Until
above
injury,
18.
and who knows
And
what his career would
Justin
have been without
Jefferson.
injury? Yeah.
Here's Evans showing some 18s you know. Uh, and Puka is he went second year up
Yes,
to
and he's
18.
and he's and he's a third year breakout guy. He's
Yeah,
having
he
an
but he
even better
but
third
he's
year.
not a third
No,
year. I
I know.
argue
I'm
that
just
year one
yeah,
he
yeah,
was the fit. We're talking 25
yes,
years, Dennis,
yes.
and he's
But
number
I'm
five.
joking.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
But
joking, of
look, we
course.
have
But he's
Chase.
over 20 now.
Look at this. We got Neighbors, Chase,
Yeah.
and Puka. Historically, three
Wow.
of yeah, three of the top five that we've ever seen.
And this goes back how
We're
long?
living in
How long
that
does this go
time.
back? How
20
many?
2000.
So
Yeah,
24 years of
yeah,
data.
and we're surviving with
It,
three
you had
players that
five
kicked it
guys.
off.
Wow.
Yeah, so versus Beckham and Antoine Bolden.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
so there's
Oh
some
yeah, I see what you're
historical
saying. I see what you're saying. We got three of the
out of the five.
greatest right
Yeah,
now. And if you go back
they're
down to
playing.
yeah, if
Yeah,
you go down to Jefferson at seven, like say you even go down to 17,
yeah, or Brian Thomas,
we had
or
eight of the greatest
so
performances.
we're
Wow.
seeing such a. I mean, if we did a time
Wow.
thing, it would be Beckham, Bolden, and then Colston, Julio.
Wow.
you see Eddie Royal, Clayton. So the 15 would be the number. In other words, if we had looked at this a
Yeah.
few years before, we would have said anybody can spit out 15 is
Yes.
God. And
And
now
the
it's
fact
the
that you've only had 15 players hit 15 as rookies in 24 seasons is amazing to me.
17. That's 17.
17
17.
guys.
Well, yeah,
That's
17.
incredible.
Yeah. And look at Keenan at
That's
18. He's still
incredible.
around. So
Yeah.
it's really
Yeah.
neat to see some of these players and who they are and what they did,
Look how consistent Keenan Allen has been.
isn't he? Look at that.
Wow.
So there's a yearly consistency thing I need to play with.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the good news is I got RBs and tight ends as well in this database and quarterbacks. So I've got lots of data, lots of posters that can come out
Wow.
of this,
And here's the thing. You know how I don't like fantasy points per game or year-end points, and I say
Yeah.
they're deceiving. But if you played 10 or more games in the season and you posted 15 points or more
Yeah.
as an average, you were elite. Like that's your MVP is going to be no worse than 90. Like
Yeah.
there's no way you're going to be lower than 90. And I would imagine most of these guys were like a 120
Yeah.
in
I don't know. You could
MVP.
look at some of your
I'll
MVP.
calculate them. I'll
So let me
calculate
ask
them.
you
Yeah.
this. Wonder what Beckham's would have been, 200?
It wouldn't be 200 because that would have been a perfect score, but it was probably 160. He
Yeah.
probably had a couple of, it's hard to be over. It's like since I've been computing it, 144 is about the highest I've had for
But
a
I'm just
wide
wondering
receiver.
historically, what would
Yeah,
Beckham, because look at
I,
his second year,
yeah.
21, Dennis. That would have
Oh,
put him second
he was
in there.
insane. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
I remember having Odell Beckham Jr. as a rookie.
But boy,
So,
when he crashed after year
oh,
5, yeah. I mean,
he
for
got hurt.
him,
Yeah,
12 is still good.
yeah, but he was
His,
ungodly his first 2, 3 years. It
yeah,
was just unbelievable.
yeah. He did 5 years of above 18. I don't think we've had anybody yet that
Wow,
has done that consistently. I mean, he definitely, he's not in the Hall of Fame
wow.
yet, but I would argue metric wise that would earn him Hall of Fame
Oh
for
God,
sure.
it should. I mean, the people will say his longevity wasn't long enough, but neither was Gale
Well,
Sayers. Gale
but
Sayers had
yeah, I was
five
about to
years.
say, what's that number?
Yeah, yeah. The
What
the
does
old
longevity mean? That
the
you're
old
you're stumbling
guys.
out there at
Yeah,
35, and every
yeah.
once in a while
Screw
I
that.
mean, what does that mean?
Yeah,
Versus I'm shining and burning bright, right? He's
yeah,
a rock and roll star.
yeah,
Burn out early and leave it bright,
yeah,
Neil Young says better to go out like that than to rust. I mean, he wrote a
yeah,
song called Rust.
yep, yeah.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah,
crazy
yeah,
cool
I
data.
knew this
I'm
would inspire you on a Saturday
I
morning.
just I
It's
cannot
better than a cup of coffee.
wait. No, this is a gift, man. This is a
Yeah,
gift.
it is fun.
Thank you.
And if you don't like metrics, if you do, this sort of excites you and like, man, I
Oh,
need, where's mine? I want a taste of this. And I hope eventually we will get more people that want to gnaw on this data and pull out something. I mean, that's what I'd love to see at the expo is these fanatics like us, data fanatics come in and we're just all, I mean, it would just fire me up. Somebody, walked in and started dealing out stuff. It's like, man, it would make me want to work harder. So we
oh,
need,
yeah,
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 it would.
yeah.
Anyway, Dennis, that's some of but I think for so we need to get kind of scorecards for each year So that means each player will fit
Yes.
into a category and will have this kind of metric, and we could then figure out what we need to figure out
And
about
the
it.
simple way of using this data, okay, is very similar to how I used my MVP data this year to try to do forecasts of the future.
Yeah.
Okay. I knew what historically it took to go from a 40 MVP to an 85 or 90. Like, I know how rare that is after I played with the data for the last 5 years, you know? So, what that tells me is if we've got player Z who scored 7.5 points per game, we know where he's going to fall in this grouping. And what that does is, let's say we got six guys that are in this, 6 to 7, under 8 group, over 6, under 8, between 6 and 8. And so we got 6 players that we're looking at that hit that number for this current season. Okay. It wouldn't make any sense to pick any more than one of those guys to move up. Like, the math doesn't math. Like, maybe 2, because you could have an unusual year. But what I see so many people do is they will forecast. I mean, how many times do we see it on fantasy football Twitter? People throwing out 40 rookies that they expect to have a huge jump the next season. And they're just hoping to hit the 1 or 2 out of 40, and they don't care that they're wrong 38 other times. What I would rather do is I'd rather make the distinction out of this group of 40 players that played last season. These are the 3 that I think, these maybe the 4 max. These are the 4 that should improve. Like, that's a smarter analysis than throwing out a whole bunch of would be, could be's, should be's. Like, you got to play by the numbers. But if we've got guys that are over 10, we got a population over 10, and we got 10 of those guys.
That's
I'm
good.
feeling I'm feeling pretty good about saying 7 or
Yep.
maybe even 8 or 9,
Yeah,
because you
it's
could have an
predictable.
abnormal
Yeah, I mean
year.
that's the idea is we want to see what is
Yeah.
normal to
Yes.
then, guess about some other things. So
And
anyway,
and Brian Thomas, for instance,
there he is.
he might be the outlier in that 20 or that 12%
Yeah.
that fails to live
Well, I
up
mean
to.
Eddie Royal did it. Michael Clayton did it. I'm looking at,
He Yeah, he might be the new Eddie
yeah,
Royal.
Juwan Jennings did it.
Yeah.
So you can kind of look historically how many have declined. It's not zero. It's looked
Yeah.
like 4 or 5.
And I would like to look at full games played. How
Yeah.
many of those
Yeah.
games were,
Right.
how many games did they play?
Right.
How, what was the number? Because if a guy only has 5 or 6 games and had a 14-point average,
Uh-huh.
I think his chance of failure is higher than a
Yeah.
guy who had 12 or 14 games and was at that number. It's just simple math. The more data points, the more it confirms the greatness of the player.
Right.
And I'm actually surprised that we didn't have any like 3-game wonders that made this list, because I know, looking at the over 15-point
Neighbors,
guys,
Brian
Tank Dell is
Thomas,
Tank Dell was a
McConkey.
7-game
Yeah.
guy,
Yeah.
but that's the only one
Yeah.
that wasn't a full-time guy.
Zay Flowers.
God, look at Olave. Look at Olave.
Yep.
Go up a little bit. He's up a little over Keenan Allen.
Yeah.
Oh, there he is. There's Olave. Um,
But he declined last
he had
year.
he had a bad year, but forecasting him to come
But
back to
look at
form,
Juju. Juju had a bad
yeah,
third year, and he bounced back, decline, up, down, and
down,
down.
down, yeah, and he lost opportunity
Hmm.
come year 6 and 7.
Yeah.
So, but this idea that you can decline like he did year 3 and bounce back
Yeah, I mean, well, we
is a
can look at that.
possibility.
You see
Yeah,
that those patterns are here, and we could get some numbers. So
yeah. This
having
is
a yeah,
fascinating stuff. I
yeah,
love this. I
yeah,
love this.
yeah. Anyway, that was my data tease for the morning. So there you go. I just get bored, looking at just week five. I like to kind of think about where we're going and what we're doing.
Very good. I love that stuff. I just I can't get enough of those comparisons because, like you say, I don't think a lot of people are doing that analysis, or we would see it everywhere. And
I
the
would
fact
think.
that no, and that's why I still think that our niche in this business
Yeah.
is to present studies like this and to say to somebody like Coventry, do you want some really unique and interesting data that nobody has?
Yeah.
That's where if we were to have a paid future going
Yeah, I
forward,
don't know about
that's
that.
where it would be is as
Yeah.
these backroom analysts for
Yeah.
some big group.
Yeah.
And I think we've made the right connections that's a possibility down the road.
Mhm.
And quite frankly, with the poster sessions the way they're going, I think this is going to open up some
Well,
opportunities.
I hope so. I hope it
Yeah,
opens up opportunities for everybody, all these other data people that just know. I think there's groups that just know there's stuff out there that needs to be chewed
yeah,
on and thought about, and it's kind of hard to focus. But I think that if people can see how I'm doing it, that might inspire them to jump in and start doing it, kind of copycat. And I'm not concerned at all. Like I said, I think we can grow together.
yeah,
I don't want to
yes,
stifle anybody. So that's what I hope is the next few years that will inspire more people to come on board and do these things because it saves me time if you'll share it. That's why science, I mean, that I know there's a lot of money in science, and I know that there's a proprietary thing, and there's this fine
yes,
line that, I mean, if you're a company and you find something that's really intriguing, and if you hold it, maybe you delay somebody else's discovery that can be even more dramatic. So there's always this fine line, this ethics,
yeah,
this
yeah,
debate. But in
yeah,
science, at least I want to think people lean toward, hey, we've got to spread the knowledge. I think if people are doing these studies, patient studies, these, clinical trials, and they start seeing something that's amazing, they'll stop the trial and, hey, we got to move forward. I mean, this is amazing. In other
yeah,
words, let's go another 10 years and we're saving 80%, which is very abnormal, but we're just not going to tell anybody that, how we're
right,
doing it.
right,
I mean, so I'm thinking that by being open through the posters and our podcasts that we're showing these methods and things we're doing, and we're not trying to hide anything. It's just, I know most people, and I understand it's fun. They don't have time to, they got mortgages to pay. They don't have time to They got 3 or 4 kids and they got lots of
Yeah.
responsibilities. I understand that. But,
But but
the
this is
kids
a
leave eventually. And if you still
but
have the
yeah.
skills, we'll start doing some work then.
Well, this is a data driven game.
I think so.
Okay. It's a data driven game. It's not luck. Like I just again, this whole concept, and I saw it again this week. Woody Marks. Oh, it was his big game. Nobody could have predicted it. Okay. He went from 12% snaps to 28% snaps to 45% snaps. After week 3, the coach said, I'm going to utilize him more in the offense each week. If he had said that and his percentages had stayed the same, under 25%, I'm not believing the coach speak. But when you see snap percentages almost double and actually triple from week 1 to week 3, if you aren't expecting more opportunity for this guy week 4, you are incompetent when it comes to fantasy football. Like, did I know he was going to get 21 points? No. But I felt pretty confident that he was going to get 12. And as you know, that's how I play the game. Is he a 12-point or more guy? Yeah. Okay. He's considered in my lineup. Doesn't mean he's starting automatically because I didn't start him everywhere. Because I had other guys. I have a group of guys at running back and wide receiver every week on every team. Is this guy capable of scoring 12 points or more based on his value? If the answer is yes, that guy gets put in another pool of players. And that's who I chose for my starters. And that's the first thing. That's the first group. And if I don't have to go to the second group, which is, can this guy score more than 6? It's, if I don't have to go to that second group, then I've got a higher chance of success. This week, for instance, with buys and injuries in a deep league, and it's a league that mimics fishbowl scoring, so it rewards volume. I was in a situation where I looked at my lineup, and when I sorted through who can get 5 or more catches, because catches are worth so many points. A catch is worth 5 running attempts in Scott Fishbowl because you get rewarded for volume. One of the guys was Kendrick Bourne that made that list because everybody else on San Francisco is hurt. It's Kendrick Bourne or Demarcus Robinson are your choices, and Tongus, of course. And Tongus was already in my starting lineup. But when it came to that first sort, I'm like, that sort is different. It is not a points sort, it's a volume sort. Who can catch 5 passes? Those are the wide receivers I'm choosing from. Who could get 5 targets or more and catch 5 balls? Kendrick Bourne was a slam dunk pick. Like, I didn't even think about it. I put him into my flex because I was into my super flex because I only had one viable quarterback, and that was Matthew Stafford.
Yeah.
My other quarterbacks were either hurt or on bye. And so Kendrick Bourne was a guy I wanted to get in the starting lineup. And that seemed like as good of a spot to stick him because I didn't have any other quarterbacks. And I felt really confident about that. Did I expect him to score almost as many points as CMC in that format? Hell no. But he was an automatic start for me. It wasn't even a question. It wasn't, oh, I got lucky. No, it was all volume driven. Can he catch 5 passes? Well, somebody's going to catch 25 to 30 balls. There's going to be 25 to 30 passes caught. CMC will probably catch 10 to 15 of them. But that still leaves, some volume. Tongas is going to catch 5. He's in my starting lineup already. It was a no-brainer to start Kendrick Bourne in that format. Now, if you're rewarding, if I'm doing the first 12-point sort thing for the day, he probably doesn't make it because I don't know how good San Francisco is going to be against the Rams defense, but on volume, he was in the running in that format. But I don't think people think that way, Professor. They look at, the guy scored 3 points so far this year. I'm not putting him in a starting lineup. He's going to be a bust. Right. That's his best game or whatever it was. They don't think in terms of volume. And that's the way you need to think when you're sorting lineups. You need to, first of all, set your lineups versus the scoring in a particular league. And if it's regular standard scoring, like an FPPC league, PPR, tight end premium, I look 12 points. Who can give me 12 points? Do I have guys that are likely to give me 12 or more points? Those are in my starting lineup. And that usually is all I have to do because I thankfully drafted pretty good. Now, my 4 worst teams, I've got some starting spots open when I get done with that first sort. But on my good teams, on my playoff caliber teams after 4 weeks, this week I've got a decision. I'm benching either Higgins, I'm benching Chase Brown, because I've got opportunities. I can make those decisions. And if Chase Brown goes off for 20 points, okay. He's in the 12 or more point category because I think he's going to get the volume. So he should be 12 or more point game. It doesn't mean he's a lock for 12. Nobody's a lock for 12 points in fantasy football. Right. Saquon Barkley's had games under 12, even in great seasons. But when you look at Saquon Barkley, you go, he's going to get the volume. He's got the potential to be 12 plus. And when I say potential, I'm saying my percentages of that happening are 70% or greater. That's where I set my bar. And if I'm going to be wrong 30% of the time, maybe. Right. But at least I've got a bar to set. And I don't think people play fantasy football that way, but we do because we're driven by the data.
Yep. I agree.
All right, Professor.
Yep. Why don't let's start the show.
Well, before we start the show, pop up the Vegas data because I haven't picked Squirrels and Huskies for the matchup lab yet. So I don't know which games we want to pick for the premium, for our matchups here on
let's
side of fantasy football.
Here is, I don't think things have the only thing that may have changed, Baltimore may have gone down further since, but they're probably.
No, they're keeping it the same, 40.5.
Yeah. Yeah.
So those are our 2 squirrels. Oh, Minnesota, Cleveland. Not only is it a squirrel, but it's a European squirrel.
Yeah.
Those are my most unfavorite squirrels, I think.
Yeah, me too. It looks like Detroit, Cincinnati is thought of well.
Ooh, and that's a two unique. Well, they're both kind of lopsided game scripts.
Yeah. Yes.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so that probably frees us up to do other things. Maybe the most interesting, of course, I'm a Saints fan, is the fact that the Saints are favored, at least they were, over the Giants.
Let's put that intriguing. Let's put that game in our bundle.
Yeah.
We'll look at New York Giants and that. We'll look
Yeah.
at the
Yeah.
for me, we'll look at Casey and Jacks,
Yeah.
and we'll pick one other game from the
Yeah.
middle here.
I
Let's
don't.
do the Dallas and Jets. I
Okay.
think that could be an interesting game for
Yeah.
fantasy.
Yeah.
So we'll do that. Those will
Okay.
be our three games we do. And then we've got who was the other squirrel? We had New England I'm sorry, who were the other Husky? New England Buffalo, and what was the other one? It
Let's
was
see. It was Buffalo, New England, Detroit, Cincinnati.
Detroit, Cincinnati. Okay.
Yeah. We'll
Very
do that
good,
for the
Professor.
matchup lab.
Yeah, we'll do the matchup lab for those four
Yep. Yeah.
games. All right. Well, see if I can spill anything else. Here we go. How you doing, everybody? This is Dennis Michelson. Welcome to the science of fantasy football. Why the science of fantasy football? Well, you get a meteorologist and a biologist together. They're going to use the scientific method that is guaranteed to treat statistics in a smarter way. How can I say that? Well, using the scientific method is letting the statistics guide you to an answer. It is not having an idea. Oh, like I might say, Patrick Mahomes is the greatest quarterback of all time, and then cherry picking a statistic to match up with that declaration. And joining me as he does each and every week, twice a week, and three times if you count our sister show, the Matchup Lab over at the Sports Affiliation. It is the fantasy professor, after all. He's a real professor. It's John Bush. And John, we are already heading to week 5.
Yep.
I can't believe how fast this season is going by.
Fast. And there are things that happen every year, such as Dennis's birthday. Woo woo. Woo woo. Oh, there you go, you old goat.
Oh,
You
my
survived
goodness.
another year putting up with me. So we're proud that you've had a birthday.
Well, I will say this, Professor. I think I'm getting younger
Oh,
every
younger.
year
Okay.
looking at all this data. I am so excited
Yeah.
about this journey of data that we
Yeah.
are on.
Journey of data. But anyway.
And but also thank you, my
Yeah.
friend. I don't
Yeah.
I don't call many people friends in this world.
Yeah.
You are a very, very good friend and good partner here in data,
Yeah.
here in fantasy football. Thank you so much. That
Yeah. Now, is your wife gonna withhold the rolling pin on your head as usual? Because you probably have messed up sometime this week. So
Yes. So I get a
if
1 day of not being flogged. So
okay, that's good.
that's good.
That's
That is
good. Or
good.
is she gonna take you out somewhere? Y'all gonna celebrate or
Yes. So we're going
good?
out to my
Good.
favorite Mexican restaurant in town. It's
Great.
called El Toro,
El Toro
and
double.
they're also one of my clients over at
Oh, that's
the
nice.
radio station that I've they're good people too.
Good.
They're
And
just super
it's
nice
good to
folks.
patronize good people. We have our Mexican restaurant that we go to is good people as well. La Hacienda, if you're ever
Oh,
traveling between Dallas and Little Rock, it's near Benton and it's worth a stop. We ate there last night. I usually eat there once a week, so it's pretty good. La Hacienda. So,
and
yep.
we discovered a really nice like Tex-Mex place in Canton
Oh,
this year.
yeah, that was an interesting. They had some
Yeah,
interesting things on the menu.
had a weird name. I don't remember the name, but
Yeah, it was
we'll
something.
find it again. It was right over
Yeah,
by where our hotels were, and
yeah,
that
that
was
was neat at
really
the
good.
expo. Yeah,
That was good food.
yeah.
So
We
yeah, I love Mexican food. Like it is my favorite. Like if I had to pick
that's where you would
a
go, huh?
special
Not
event,
Italian, because from Chicago, I would have thought Italian would be something you would want to
so
call your number one.
You are correct. You are correct. So there was a place in Chicago that still exists called the Como Inn
Yeah.
that was in the city of, right in the city. That was my go-to place when I was a kid for, like if mom and dad said, you can go anywhere, we'll even go into the city, which was a big deal for us
Hmm.
suburbanites, because my mom and dad were from the city and they moved out to the suburbs, before I was born. But if we went into the city, it was for a special dinner event, and the Como Inn was the
Right.
place to go for Italian. And there was a great steakhouse right in our little town of Des Plaines called the Black Ram, and that was the other place you wanted to go for your birthday. So, a bit expensive, but it was very, very delicious. And since my dad took customers there from his work, they treated us really nice over
That's
at the Black
great.
Ram. But yeah, I'm going to El Toro. Getting the family's going to be there. Her family's going to be there. My kids, of course, are way out of town, so they won't be able to make it in for the weekend. But some of my wife's family, my in-laws, who I get along really well with, um, they will be there. So we'll have a
Good.
small little get together of like maybe 10, 12 people. So
That's
it'll be good.
nice. That's
Yeah.
nice. I like it.
And,
Okay.
and I know the Chicago Cubs are going to give me a win on my birthday.
Yeah. So
Um, that
they're doing well this year, huh?
that but here's the thing: if they win today,
Yeah.
it'll be the first time in my lifetime
Oh my
that they have
goodness.
won on my birthday.
Oh
They
wow.
they have not won on October 4th since 1908.
Oh my goodness.
But in 1908, they have the best record
So
in baseball and they won the World Series.
do they have a chance at going all the way, you think? I don't know enough
Not this
about
year. Not
not
I would be do they have a chance? Yes, they could get hot. But
yeah.
they're 1 to 2 years early
Uh-huh.
on where they need to be. They're a very good young team.
Mhm.
I have adopted a favorite player on the Cubs, which I haven't had since the World Series team of 2016 broke up.
Yeah.
I I really kind of like didn't like what my Cubs were doing. I didn't really have a favorite player for a number of years.
Hmm.
Adopted a favorite player last year, guy by the
Nice.
name of Peter Crow Armstrong,
Nice.
goes by the initials PCA.
Yeah.
And, just like we got ARSB, in
Uh-huh.
football and JSN in football and now
Uh-huh.
JCM in
Uh-huh.
football, we got PCA for the Cubs.
Nice.
He's only like 23, his
So a
second
young
year in the
young
league,
kid with a lot of talent.
and a good center fielder, like really one of the best center fielders, and the kid can hit too. So
Great. Well, there you
little,
go.
yeah, so it's
Woo
fun.
woo.
And yeah, so hopefully my Cubs will deliver. Last time I had a meaningful game on my birthday, it didn't go so well. So, but
Yeah.
that's been a long time.
Okay.
But thank you,
Okay.
Professor. It's
Okay.
very nice.
Okay.
So, one of the things I wanted to bring up today before we get into some of
You
the
know, you hadn't
latest
had
stuff,
gripes in a while. I
I
missed
I do
last
have a
year. It was like every week you had a gripe. You were
well,
fired up last
I
year.
have a gripe this week.
Oh, that's
I've been
good.
in I've been actually in a very very good mood every
You're too
Saturday, so maybe
damn
that's why I
mellow.
haven't.
I miss the cranky, crabby Dennis. I like it.
Yeah, it's amazing
Yeah,
how when things are going well at the radio station that I don't
yeah,
get as cranky.
yeah.
Um, but no, I have a cranky one, and
Good.
I actually sent you a text about this
Uh-oh.
during Thursday night football
And I probably forgot it, but
because it was about analytics. Okay,
yeah.
so and the analytics ended up being right, but for
Oh
all the
yeah, the
wrong,
percentage. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
The
but for
yeah.
all the wrong reasons.
Right.
So going into the fourth quarter, before the fourth quarter started, they pop up this analytic
Yeah.
that NFL Analytics or whoever it was says that there's a 74% chance that San Francisco will win this game. The Rams had the ball. The Rams were coming on. They were like the momentum had shifted in the
Right.
game.
Right.
The Rams were a 7-point favorite. They were at home.
Right.
I would love to have been able to bet. Now, I'm glad I didn't in retrospect because I would have lost money because of dumb play by the Rams at the end of the game.
Right.
But how do they come up with some of these analytics? Because 74%, there is no sports book in America that would have given me 26% like that odds in a money line for the Rams to win. There's no, you couldn't have gotten that bet live.
Well, Vegas doesn't want it equal.
They don't want it equal, but I mean, I couldn't even come close to that because I looked it up and they weren't giving me they weren't giving me even 2-1, Professor.
Yeah.
If it's a 26% chance of happening,
Right.
which the analytics said, wouldn't Vegas have been giving me at least plus 300 on my live bet? It was like it got up to like plus 155.
Yeah, that's cheap.
So they were giving me less than half.
Yeah, and you're lucky to take that.
If the analytics say 70, so my question is, you always see this ESPN analytics say, this analytics said, what is driving these numbers? Like, it seems nonsensical to me that this data is just being if you say the word analytics attached to it, it seems to have this air of invincibility, right?
Yeah.
What's driving these analytics? Because 74% makes no sense at all. In order for San Francisco to hold up that 74% margin, Kyron Williams had to fumble at the 1 yard line when he got punched in the head.
Yeah.
And then Sean McVay apparently got punched in the head at some point because with 4th and 1 in the game on the line,
Yeah.
he ran the ball up the middle
Yeah.
with a running back who is not known for being good after contact. Like Kyron Williams is a terrific NFL running back, but he's not the big bruising type. He's not Bijan Robinson or Saquon Barkley who can get hit at the line of scrimmage and still gain 2 yards. If he gets hit at the line of scrimmage, he's probably not going to get you that yard in about 1.5 yards is what he needed to get. And he didn't. Like when I saw them running the motion for a run play, I was like, well, certainly they're going to fake this to him and throw a little out to Puka. Like Puka Nacua is your best player. Your second best player, and I'm not talking quarterback here. I'm just talking skill position guys. Your second best player this year is Davante Adams, right?
Yes.
You gave the ball to your third best guy who had just fumbled the last time you gave him a chance to win the game. Sean McVay is supposed to be a genius on the offense. What in the hell was he doing? Like Stafford was eating that 49ers defense alive. And the 49ers have a better run defense than they have a pass defense. And yes, they could have gotten to Stafford and sacked him, which they had done a couple of times in the game. But I'm taking my chances on a quick throw to Puka Nacua or Davante Adams before I'm running the ball up the middle. So I don't get these analytics, and I don't get why we're calling Sean McVay a genius. Those two things had me so flustered Thursday night that I just even kept remembering that until Saturday, even at my advanced age, which is advanced one more digit today. But shouldn't we know more about these analytics before we even trust them?
Yeah, but I don't trust them.
I don't trust them either. So my warning to everybody, don't just accept it as gospel if you hear the word analytics or you hear AI says. AI is good at coming up with a consensus. And if you're worried about beating AI in fantasy football, all you have to do to win money in fantasy football is beat the consensus. All AI does at this point is a more thorough look at not telling you what the consensus is. That's what we still have to beat. So I'm not worried if I hear AI says or our analytics say. I just look at that and I go, where did that number come from? Until I see, I don't want their secret formula. I know they've got a secret formula. At least tell me what it's based on. You can do that. Like I've told everybody what my MVP is based on.
Yeah.
You've told everybody what your com data is based on.
Yes.
You haven't given them the Bush number formula. I haven't given
Secret
them
stuff. Yeah.
I haven't given them the MVP formula,
Yeah.
which is actually quite simple, folks. But it's
Yeah.
not like I and I have a secret sauce that I use for my MVP and deciding things. But it's been talked about. I've told you exactly what it does. It sorts the three things that a player can do every week: win you a game, lose you a game, or keep you in the matchup. It's just that simple. Your com data is very simple, and and same with the Bush number in its concept.
Yep.
The actual formula, yes, we're not going to give you that, but we're going to tell you what the data means, and you can probably reverse engineer it and find out on your own. You can figure it out.
Yep.
It's not that tough. But when they say analytics, I don't buy it. I don't believe it. I think it's somebody in a back room picking a number. Yeah, let's use 74%. That because I have not seen, and I've never seen anybody say our analytics have been right X number of times. Nobody ever shows past performances. At least the guy at the track shows you he had a negative return on investment.
Yeah.
At least they're honest about that when they show you horse race pickers on TV.
Yeah.
They show you that, Eddie O, is minus 500 for the day out of his bank of 1,000, after four races. They at least are honest with you. So you know whether to believe him in that fifth race or not. But this analytics thing is turning into the biggest joke, because there is no way that, like, if the betting line never got better than 150 plus 155, that to me says that it never reached 2.5 to 1. They're taking their rake.
Plus,
they're not going to give you honest odds.
No.
But 74%. If you did get honest odds, you're getting over 3.5 to 1.
Yeah.
You're getting 3 to 1 minimum. And they're giving you half of that. That tells me that the analytics were never more than 58%. Period.
Yep.
So that's my gripe.
That's your gripe. Okay. That's good. I think they're chastised now, Dennis. They're listening to you and changing even as we speak.
They're sitting there going, man, we found a sponsor for this. You haven't found a sponsor for your crap yet. We don't worry about what you say.
Yeah, I understand. That's funny.
But I can be salty every once in a while.
You can be. We have an issue in a
Yes.
league to talk about?
Our
Yeah,
dynasty league.
let's
Yes.
see if I can. Uh,
Because we are hit hard with injuries. And but this is why I took the risk of trading for Pacheco
mm-hmm.
since I knew we could pick up Kareem Hunt and we drafted Brashard Smith. So in the
Right,
offseason, folks, we had a team in our dynasty league that had Chuba Hubbard, Bucky Irving,
right.
solid at running back. But I traded one of our excess wide receivers, and I picked Waddle because he was the least likely to be, you know, it was an offense I was worried about with the Dolphins because of Tua. And we had drafted Egbuka, so I felt good about our wide receivers of CeeDee Lamb, Egbuka, T. Higgins with Burrow, of course, at that time, and Devonta Smith. I'm like, we've got four terrific wide receivers.
Right.
We need help at running back. So I traded for Isaiah Pacheco because we'd already drafted Brashard Smith. And I saw Kareem Hunt on the waivers. We had drafted Elijah Mitchell. So I now had all four of the KC running backs, and I didn't care that they were average. I knew the time would come that one of them would probably emerge. I still think it's likely to be Brashard Smith, but I wanted some protection. So I grabbed a Pacheco in a trade, and I'm happy with that deal. But without Chuba and Bucky, we have some decisions to make. So
Yeah, I'm trying
I
to
don't know
pull
what to
this.
do.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull this up. Let's see, a set lineup. So this is our dynasty, folks, coming up here. We're
And we
running
finished
with
third place last year. So we,
last year.
or
So
were we second last year? I
yeah,
forget. We were second or third last year.
yeah. We're 50-50 this year, so but it's 4 games. And again, we're just trying to get in the playoffs. Jared Goff. So our question is what, Dennis?
So
We're debating
I
Cooper Cup
yeah,
with,
so Scatterbo's an automatic start for us this week. Okay. I've
oh
been
yeah,
very pleased with that. So Scatterbo,
98% of people
yeah,
are doing that.
yeah. So Egbuka is also a starter for us. That's not even a question. But now we get into what the hell do we do with some of these other guys? And now the good news is we're all over 70% on a lot of these guys as far as the starting percentage that across
Right.
all FPPC leagues. And I love to see that because
Yeah.
while I'll go against the consensus sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
I do like to see a lot of players with a high percentage start. It tells you that you've got a decent roster, is what it tells
Right.
you. So
Right.
the question though this week, there's two questions. Who do we start as our second running back? And our choices are limited.
So we got
Um,
Pacheco in now. 44% of the people like that.
and we also have Chubb or Hunt, or we could go long shot bet and
Yeah,
say this is the
Chubb
week that Brashard.
33, so
Yeah,
that's the second choice. Then
yeah,
Hunt at 20,
or,
Bashir at 10, and Blue at 2.
yeah. Blue's not even in the question for me
So
this week
then
because yeah,
it's if not Pacheco, then Hunt, Bashir, or we go
or Chubb.
Chubb. So the average would say Chubb, he averages 9 uh, over the other two. Pacheco is 6. So really by average of what they've done point wise, it's that. Chubb consistently, he's got a 6, 15, 7, 8. So that's, if you throw that out, that touchdown, then it's 6, 11, 7, 8. So it looks like we're struggling to get close to 10. Looks like 8 is expected. So I don't know what is Chubb's expected. 7. Yeah. So Pacheco is 4, a 5, 4, 6. Throw out the touchdown, it's 7. So even less than Chubb. So if you throw the touchdown and you look at the targets, and I mean, nothing's really changed. You're getting what you're getting. So it looks like it is between, you know, uh, past data says that's your choice. So then I might look at the defense. Pacheco has a 6. That's not good. And Chubb has a 32.
Right.
So more, I mean, it almost screams Chubb for the floor. In other words, I guess to me, when I look at this, I think Chubb's the floor, the safe floor. So given what we're seeing, is this a week that we strive for safety, or do we want to gamble and try to get a touchdown upside, of, 12, 14 points with the touchdown? And if that's the case, it looks like, uh, I don't know what metrics we'll use because it says, the Jacksonville is tough
So,
against,
so yeah. So here is the reasoning I used
okay.
is I believe that KC will beat Jacksonville by 7 or more points.
Okay.
Okay. And
Yeah.
I expect to see
Hmm.
Pacheco as the guy who will attempt to run out the clock at the end of the game or to chew some clock.
Hmm.
So even though he's going against a tougher Jacksonville defense, I'm kind of thinking he might get the scraps of a touchdown.
Right.
And here's the further reasoning.
Hmm.
Igbuka's going against a tough defense.
Hmm.
Devonta Smith is going against a tough defense. Higgins has a bad quarterback.
Right.
Hawkinson is in a low scoring game against a tough defense. Ertz is also against a tough defense. So I was trying to say who has the best chance of getting in the end zone. And my fear with Chubb is that
Hmm.
he lost volume to Woody Marks last week.
Hmm.
Does he lose more volume this week? Is the question. And the upside though of that is Houston's probably going to be in a game all game. Like they're going to be in a scoring match against Baltimore, I would think.
Yeah.
If Baltimore gets good enough offensive play from their backup quarterback Cooper Rush.
Right.
So here's the other question. Do we pivot and get Cooper Kupp in the lineup, even though he's going against a tough defense, with the reasoning that they're going to have to throw because Tampa's going to score a lot of points? So I've got right now the question is, do we totally roll the dice
Hmm.
and go for the guy who's better out of the backfield because he had 3 catches last week? The guy you got up on the screen, Brashard Smith.
Oh.
Do we see Kansas City having to throw a lot? And do we see Brashard Smith get more attempts? Because his usage is going up, even though the performance hasn't been there yet. He only had 6.6 last week.
Hmm.
So that's where I am with all this. I'm leaning towards going Chubb
Hmm.
because in FPPC we need points. Okay, we need to get those victory points, so we need to stay in the match. Um, team score wise, we're forecast to lose by over 20. So we need not only for the win in this matchup, but
Mhm.
we need to, if we lose, we need to score in the top half of
So
the
if
league.
I said Kansas City's going to be passing 13% more than usual in this game, does that change the math?
It tells me I should either play Chubb or I should roll the dice with Brashard Smith. Like those are the decisions I would make. I put Pacheco in there
Hmm.
because he's like the safe option. And
Hmm.
usually my first sort through the data, I just look at who's the safest guy, knowing that Irving and Chubb or and Chuba are out. Having both of those guys out is our worst scenario
Right.
because if
So, yeah,
either of those guys is starting, we're starting them ahead. And before people wondered, no,
yeah. So if I
the
told you
backups aren't available.
Houston in this game is going to pass 20% more.
Then I think Woody Marks gets more play, which takes away from Chubb.
Yep. Well, that is the home away passing rushing data that both of those teams, Houston and KC, are going to be skewed to passing more than usual when they're both away and they usually run more at home and pass more away.
And
So,
the and
yeah.
the difficulty here is, in our pre-show, we are talking about, I talked a little bit about my philosophy of how I
Mhm.
select my group of starters. And my first selection is who has the capability of scoring 12, who's likely to score 12 or more points. That's Scatabo. Like
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
really good
Yeah.
about
I got it.
Scatabo being the
So,
highest.
with passing a premium with these guys, who's the better pass catcher? Hunt, Smith, Pacheco, or Chubb? Who, of the four, how would you rank pass catching ability? Not necessarily what they've done this year, but just kind of maybe, I don't know, historically. It would be nice if we had an MVP of pass catching for running backs, kind of
Yes.
a
Yes.
metric, instead of taking all their stuff, splitting it out. Running backs are weird that way, Dennis.
Yes.
They are.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's the question to me.
So
Where
the
would we order? Who's going to catch the passes? Who's going to get us three or four passes? Maybe now because of the shift, maybe six passes. So 6 points plus whatever they get.
so here when we break it down that way,
Yeah,
okay, if
yeah.
we're just looking at the likelihood of catching passes out of the backfield,
Yes.
right now the data says that Chubb is probably not going to be on the field for those because what we
Woody
have
Marks
saw
does
is
that.
Woody Marks had 5 targets last week. Chubb had 2. The week before, Chubb did have 4 targets.
Hmm.
Marks was at 2. They've been increasing Marks in the passing game all year long. So I'm worried about Chubb in that regard.
So let's say
So
6-3.
so I would say we're probably looking at
Kansas
maybe
City then.
2 to 3 targets from Chubb,
Yes.
period.
I would say three.
So
So
last
now,
last week, so
yeah.
Hunt is out of the equation.
Okay. So
They
Brasheard Smith coming on with four last week.
4 targets last week to Pacheco's 3.
Yeah. So it's pretty
But
close.
but Pacheco only got those 3 in like first and second down situations. When it was a passing down,
Mhm.
we saw more of Brashard Smith.
Mhm. Like the Jet McKinnon thing.
Yes. So when I did my first sort,
Mhm.
who's at 12? Who could get me 12? None of these guys are
No,
likely to be over 12. Second sort, who's likely to be over 8 points?
I
None
think,
of them.
yeah, I think at best,
Minus a
Pacheco
touchdown.
might
Yeah.
get you 7.
Unless they get it with a touchdown, he could
Yes.
get you more.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Then they'd be 12, 14. Yeah.
Without a touchdown, he's like a 6 or 7 point guy
Yes.
this year. Without a touchdown, Chubb is a 6 or 7 point guy
Yep.
maximum. He might even be a 5 or 6.
Right.
Without a touchdown, Hunt's a 3 to 6 guy.
Yeah.
Without a touchdown, because this is PPR, I got Brashard Smith in the 5 to 7 category.
Yeah. So they're both about the same. But I'm
So they're
saying,
yeah,
opportunity wise, it seems like Smith has a little bit of edge. He's got
yeah,
youth.
and
He's
he's
got the
trending
Jet
up.
McKinnon
Yes,
tradition that Andy Reid likes.
it seems to be the trust. It seems to be
Okay.
trusted more than he was
So
week 1 and 2.
when the last sort, then game script, Kansas City or Houston, who's going to need the passing? Not that they won't do it, but who's going to really need it? I think Kansas City's going to need it because it's a little tougher scenario than Houston.
And Kansas City has not run the ball well
Yeah.
at all this year. So
Yeah.
they have not run the ball well against
We're
the better
coming down to
offenses. Yeah.
Pacheco and Brashard Smith, and I would probably lean to stretch since we're even money or 2-2. I would probably gamble with Smith now that I've kind of weighed all the evidence. That's my feeling at this point.
I would agree with that. And I just put him in our starting lineup.
Yeah.
All right. Next
Okay.
decision.
Yeah.
Next
And
decision.
so you just wanted to stop here to comment, Dennis. That's the kind of level, and
Yes.
notice there is no equation that we can 100% sit back and relax and say, got this in the bag. We don't,
No,
folks.
no,
We're
no.
juggling and we're 10% more here. I mean, it's a close decision. If Pacheco gets 14 and Bashir gets 8, we're boy, you guys messed up. Well,
No,
that
no.
was that could be a scenario. We're trying to, when we mix the gumbo, that's the level of cayenne we put in right now. I mean, if we got a bunch of freeloaders from down the street, well, we'll put extra cayenne in so they won't ever come back again trying to bum our meals.
Yeah.
That's those in-laws you don't want for Thanksgiving. You you put that cayenne in there, Dennis, to keep them away. You cut it thin. You cut the roast beef thin. It's like they can see through it.
You can read the
They
newspaper.
can read the newspaper through it. You know, and they get the idea. It's like, man, we need to go to this guy's house. He feeds us good. That's good. Dennis doesn't like him. Go elsewhere. See, Dennis,
It
that's
what?
an old trick. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking Brashard Smith
Yes. I
is
like that.
is the way to
I like
go.
that move.
Yeah,
You've talked to me into it,
yeah,
and here's the thing:
yeah,
is without a touchdown this year,
yeah,
if you take the touchdowns away, Pacheco is 4.356.
yeah,
Hunt is 4.455.
yeah.
So we're being touchdown dependent here.
Yeah.
Like we're
But
saying,
Brashear Smith so we are banking on an improvement, a
yes,
need,
yes,
an opportunity. We're reading the dice to say Smith has a better chance of getting more opportunity to do his thing. That's
and,
what we're guessing.
yes. And here's what I like about that prediction is what we saw with Brashard Smith,
Mm-hmm.
snap count wise, 13% in week one, 8%, 11, up to 26% last year
Yeah.
or last week. So he went from 8 snaps to 19,
Right.
while Pacheco dropped from 40 to 27.
Yeah. So one last thing, Dennis, while I'm thinking, why don't we look at Vegas? I'm trying to see if I can pull up. That's Vegas. Let's look at trying to find Vegas here. Let's see. Yeah. So let's look at the Houston game and let's look at the stats, or maybe the, I don't care about the bet offers, pair passing. Okay, so they think Vegas is set the line for Stroud at 200 yards passing, and uh, Chubb is anytime basically 300. Woody Marks is at half that. So they think Woody Marks has twice the chance of getting a touchdown than Chubb. That's what Vegas is going to give you the odds wise,
Yeah.
you know. And so let's see for KC, what does that do for us here? KC, passing wise, let's see, game combos, let's see, total points. I never can. Player offense, let's see. First, Kelsey. Let's see, did they even have Smith? Yeah. So Smith getting a touchdown is 650, Dennis.
Yep.
So we're going against Vegas. They think uh, Chubb has half that or has twice the chance of getting it. So we're going against what Vegas would say. So, I mean, not that I'm scared, but, player passing. Mahomes is at 250. So again, I'm thinking Kansas City's passing more. Vegas says yes. They're just figuring others are going to get the touchdown, and
Yeah.
I'm thinking the Jet, the way they used Jet last year. I'm not thinking Vegas is calculating that. So again, that may be us being Kansas City biased that way, but that's how I read the data. So, that's another level to think about. But I like that KC is predicted to pass more. So that's part of our scenarios. We think they needed to shifting to pass.
What
So
what are the
Vegas
odds on
says
a
that.
what are the odds on a Pacheco or Hunt touchdown? Anytime touchdown.
Yeah, let's see. Touchdown. Pacheco, touchdown scorer. Uh, Pacheco. Dennis, they're not going to even give you
No. No.
Hunt.
No, and that's the thing. Yeah. They're not going to give you odds on Hunt.
Pacheco is 210.
That's not
They,
bad. That's not horrible.
no. Hunt is 210.
Oh,
So
Hunt's
they
210.
say they think Hunt and Pacheco are the same chance at getting a touchdown. So they
So
think we're
yeah.
way off.
So they're saying goal line touchdown possibility
That's
for
what
both
they're
guys.
predicting.
Okay. But they're not determining one is greater than the other.
They're
they're basically
saying
saying
the
it's a
same.
coin flip. Yeah.
Yes.
So what we're basically saying is we don't think there's going to be a rushing touchdown.
Nope.
Or here's the other option is if there is a rushing touchdown, we don't have a level of confidence whether it's going to be Pacheco or Hunt
Or Mahomes running in.
or
We don't
Mahomes running it.
know.
Yeah. I would say that it is a coin flip. Who's on the field at that time?
Yeah.
And we need a three-headed coin because it could be Brashard Smith also,
Right. Right.
depending on where
If it's
we
third
are.
down.
3rd and 3 is different than 1st and from the 1.
Yes.
It's
big difference.
Who knows? 1st and
How
1.
can you predict 1st and 1?
1st and 1, and you could get a Xavier Worthy on a jet sweep. I mean,
Or
it's
something.
who knows with Andy Reid. But I guess here's what I'm saying is I don't know who has the better chance of scoring a touchdown between Hunt or Pacheco. But the odds of Chubb scoring a touchdown because of Woody Marks being in the backfield is greater than the chance of Pacheco or Hunt.
Vegas thinks Marks, of everybody we mentioned, is the one
Yes.
that gets the touchdown.
And if we had Marks on our roster, he'd be in the starting lineup, no question.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'm going to take the opportunity to say, let's gamble on Brashard Smith because I think he's going to get 3 or 4 passes thrown his way.
Yeah.
If they complete all 3 or 4, that's 4 points before we start counting yards.
Yeah.
So if he would happen to get in the end zone and gain just 6 yards per catch and do that 4 times, I mean, we're talking 12-point game. So I think he's got as good of a shot at hitting 8 as anybody else does in this one. And, be bold. It's not like we got a slam dunk for any of these guys. I like the logic. I like the logic to end up there.
Okay.
So the next question is Hockenson or Ertz at tight end is the first level of question there. And I'm leaning Ertz, but the reason I have Hockenson in the tight end slot is because his game is earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And in case Ertz screws up a hamstring warming up, I can sub in the flex position.
Right.
Hockenson has been hard to read in one game. The other 3, like the last 2 games,
his targets have gone up.
Very pleased with him the last 2 games.
Anything 5 or better is good with tight ends.
Yeah, and you would think that Cleveland's going to try to stop Jefferson and Addison before they stop Hockenson. So I think Hawkinson's a safe start. But
here's why I would argue Ertz is the way is because when Daniels was there,
yes,
5 and 8,
which is why I put him in that flex starting position.
I think he is earned a flex or the tight end. My question is
Higgins or Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, or
do we throw a second running back in?
Ertz thrown in the tight end, Hockenson. So so now if you do it that way, Higgins and Kupp, Higgins and Hockenson, Kupp and Hockenson. So I would make it a 3-way question.
Yes. And that's what I basically did. And my solution was I want our 2 tight ends because this is tight end premium. I wanted our 2 tight ends in the lineup. And then I got it down to Kupp and Higgins, but you're looking at the right way.
Yeah, I think just away games, Kupp has had more targets than home games. It's a home game for Seattle. I'm not saying, but if you notice, first 4 games,
yes,
5 and 9 is away, 3 and 3 is home.
Does that back up their tendencies?
Yeah, let's look at the tendency. with Seattle. Let me see. Seattle. I got to find what game that is. Seattle's got to be 9, so Seattle's got to be okay. Seattle at home. Yeah, they don't pass a lot. They're
That's what I thought.
their away is 25% higher passing than home. Home is 75% versus 100, Dennis. So 25% less. They rush at home. Run,
And
run, run.
Tampa's defense has been stingy on the passing side.
They're tougher. Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks
Yeah.
like if I'm, just preview, I don't know if the only easy for Tampa Bay is Otten this week, just and Seattle's tight ends. I don't know. I'm just saying. So the other choice then is well, that makes it then, right? If you
That's
throw
yeah.
Cup out, then it's Hawkinson and Higgins. You
Yeah.
want
And,
to look at Higgins? Let
yeah,
me
let's
just
look at Higgins, but the other option is to gamble on a second running back choice. But
yeah,
I'm not crazy about Pacheco, Chubb, or
yeah.
or Hunt in that case. I'm
Cincinnati, though, yeah, Cincinnati, the power rankings. I mean, I think we
yes,
can't look at that because that's a whole measure of the team. We're just, boy, Cincinnati. That's really, and I know we're not the only one that's had the issue. So,
yep,
everybody's crying over that. Cincinnati is at home, and home, they love to pass. Love, love, again, skewed with Burrows. See, I don't have non-Burrows skewing.
yes,
So
yes.
the skew has been 80% more passing at home.
And they're playing Detroit, who's going to score a boatload of points.
Yep.
There's going to be at least
Detroit is not shut down
oh,
tough.
they never play to run out a game.
Yeah.
They play to score 40 points every week.
Yeah, that's how they do that. So
So since
Cincinnati, I think junk time Higgins is better than it looks like the tendency of Seattle at home.
yeah, that's how I saw the situation first to
Yep.
say you got to have and that's why I went two tight ends this week.
Yes. I like Hurts.
And there's nothing on the waiver wires, folks. Isaiah Davis with the Jets was the only possible to pick up off the waivers, and I don't think he's in any better. He's he's not more likely to hit than Hunt or Pacheco.
Yeah.
But I like the garbage time Cincinnati. And
Higgins
again,
accidentally
and you gotta
catches.
and here's the one thing that I will tell you, because I did this research. The previous time that Browning was playing quarterback, so 2 years ago when Burrow went down, Browning actually produced a higher MVP index in those games for Higgins than he did Chase.
Right.
And Higgins' MVP was over 90.
Yeah.
Chase was in the 80s. So it was close, but it was definitely Higgins seemed to get more targets, more opportunities. So yeah, I like that opportunity for Higgins there. But this is the process that you need to go through. We like it when it's easier.
Oh yeah.
If either Chuba Hubbard or Bucky Irving was even questionable, if either one was going to play, even if they're
Right.
questionable, then it's a whole lot easier to decide.
Right.
If Burrow's playing at quarterback, it's easier to decide. Higgins is the automatic. Like
Right.
if things are normal,
Right.
Higgins and Devonta Smith are automatic plays for us. Like
Right.
in it, but in this situation, if CD Lamb was healthy, I might play Lamb over Higgins,
Right.
but also have Ertz and Hawkinson in the lineup. That's the kind of dynamic here that all comes into play. But I'm glad we could work it out here, and we'll see next week. We'll give a review on Wednesday of how our logic went.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Professor, let's get to handicapping some big games. We've got the New York Giants and your New Orleans Saints.
Yeah. Number 7, game 7.
Actually, think this is going to be a very entertaining game.
Yeah, and like I said, the Saints are favored, or they were favored.
They
I
still
have,
are by a point and a half.
yeah, that's what it is. So it's 41. Has that changed much?
It's
41.
42, so it's
Yeah,
close.
yeah,
It's
it's
close.
close. Yeah,
And that
40.
and that can be the same from one line to the other could be
Yeah,
a point
yeah,
difference with no
yeah,
problem.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so 22, 22-19, something like that. So it's almost a pick 'em. Uh, but New Orleans wins. New Orleans playing at home. That's why they're favored. Kamara, it's time for Kamara to wake up. It's easy.
God, I hope so.
Olave and maybe even Rashid, just to let you know,
Ooh,
I
love it.
have a few places I'm playing them both.
Yeah,
Olave in the WR slot and Shahid in the flex, given the, I don't have some Green Bay players and stuff. So it's sad. So I went with Shahid. Nothing scares me on the Giants. I actually stream New Orleans as a defense.
yes, I did the same.
Yeah, just in case
Playing
Dart,
for the turnovers.
yeah, that's what we're doing. He's still young. He may get a little pass happy and throw an interception or a fumble or something. The Giants away looks like Dart should have his way. I know people were squawking about the tight end Theo Johnson. I'd be cautious on playing him this week or betting.
Yeah,
I like the passing. And the rushing is fine. Giants rushing, Scatterboo's fine. So there's nothing that scares me. Both teams have that same dynamic. Kamara and the passers, and Scatterboo and the passers. So they both have, in some ways, they both have the same kind of dynamic situation. They can run and pass. So in this game, so that's why it could be higher than you think. It could be really fun. And
yeah, I
let's
think it will be.
yeah. Tennessee, New Orleans is 30% so far this year. Giants 17. So they're double efficient. New Orleans likes home a little bit, 10% better. But when they're home, Dennis, look what they do. They pass by 16% more
Hmm.
rush. So I think Kamara will do his damage pass catching. And the Giants at home, I mean at away, love to pass. 32% more passing, 57% less running. So Scatterboo can catch passes. So
Yes, he can.
I see it almost seems to be the same team in some ways. The only thing New Orleans has with Juwan Johnson is a little bit more advantage in the tight end situation and their home field. So I do agree it's close, and I say play a lot of them if you need them, kind of thing. That's what I say.
Yeah, and I like the over in this one. And I'm actually going to change my pick right now in our TSA pick'em pool. I'm taking
Yeah.
New Orleans.
Dennis,
And
I already been on New Orleans. Come on
I'm
now.
I'm taking New Orleans here because of that. They do like to pass a little more at home. And
Yeah.
here's the crazy logic I'm going to use on this one. And maybe this is why Vegas has them as 1.5 point favorites. That first time you play in New Orleans,
Yeah.
and I don't care if it's a losing team, New Orleans crowd is crazy loud. And that can sometimes mess up an offense. Now, one thing I'm going to throw out there, though, is a long shot play at wide receiver if you need one. This is a high risk potential reward. Everybody's saying Wandale,
Oh,
is going to get the targets now. Wandale's going to be the guy. He's going to look at how many targets he got last year. He can get so many targets. I don't think so. And here's my logic. So before Dart got moved up to starting lineup, he was playing on the scout team. His wide receiver of choice in practice with the scout team, Jalen Hyatt. Hyatt now in the role to be a starting wide receiver with Neighbors out. Hyatt is worth a long shot play if you are really, if you're without a guy who's an 8 point or more guy and you're looking for a long shot start, Hyatt is the man this week for New York. He could throw out a 2 or 3 point game. He could throw out a 12 or 14 point game. High range of logical outcomes. It could go ugly. It could go really good. But the game script might say that this is going to be a game where there's a lot of points scored. And maybe because below average running for the Giants, maybe they got to throw a little more.
Interesting.
So that's my logic there. Again, my odds of him hitting on a 12-point game are pretty low. We're talking 20%er. But that's better than a lot of odds that you have in other games.
Dennis,
and in fact, yeah.
There was Malik Washington and Isaiah Bond were two that I was looking at.
Yes.
I didn't have Hyatt. Yes. So how would you rank those three?
I'd have Washington ahead of both. Who was the other one you mentioned?
Bond.
Bond worries me. Bond worries me. That Minnesota defense is for real.
So you would rank it Washington,
I'd
Hyatt,
go Washington,
Bond.
Hyatt, and Bond. Yeah.
So now I need to
Washington. Washington is far ahead.
Hyatt. But I couldn't get much of him. Everybody was on him. I got Hyatt, 2 or 3 shares. I was greedy. I wanted a lot more.
Yeah,
Bond was cheap.
Bond is very cheap, and I've got.
But so Hyatt is probably cheap.
And here's the thing: is I think Bond could be the better long-term play. Okay, but this week, I've got Hyatt and him so close. Okay, and I'd give the edge maybe on the defensive matchup to Hyatt for this week only. But I'd feel better about Bond for the whole season.
In
Bond
the dynasty, sounds like you would want Bond. I
was putting Bond on some of my rosters when he had no team before he was signed. When we thought he was going to jail, I put Bond on some of my taxi squads. I'm leaving him there this week. But he'll come off the taxi squad. And I grabbed a couple of shares. Bond was my backup wide receiver if Pittman or Debo was not going. And now it looks like both guys are healthy, so I don't have to worry about it. But in a couple of guillotine leagues where it's win or go home, I grabbed Bond as an emergency play. It was a risky move because I had to make the decision before that 8:30 a.m. game.
Right.
but I decided that I would have enough information if both guys, if one of them would, it was two different leagues. If they were questionable, I might put Bond in there just
Yep.
so I'd get points. In a guillotine league, you just don't want a zero. You don't
Gotcha.
want a guy who
Okay.
didn't play. And I
Right.
had Juju Smith-Schuster as
Right.
the ultra emergency guy in
Yeah, but
case.
he seems pretty
Yeah,
constant. You got a good shot at getting 10 with him.
yeah, I got some points with. I'll get some points with Juju.
Yeah, that's
So
what I
that was kind
thought.
of my play,
Yeah.
but I also wanted to take him off the rosters of other potential teams in
Right.
case they were having trouble. In guillotine
Gotcha.
leagues, I love sucking up whatever talent is out there
Right.
and making people make decisions on my worst player.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to another
Okay.
game. Let's look at Dallas and the New York Jets.
Okay. By the way, I probably need to invest in one guillotine. I never played that format,
They're
for
fun.
next year.
They
Yeah.
are fun. They're
Yeah.
fun, but
Yeah.
they're a unique,
Yeah. I figured it's a learning curve.
and I have never won in a guillotine league
Yeah.
all the way. Okay. I have made it to the final four quite
Hmm.
often. I
Hmm.
made it to the final two once. I don't play
Right.
a lot of money in guillotine leagues.
Well, you're not winning.
I play one or two a season. This year, I increased that to three,
Yeah.
and we'll see how it goes. But it's for fun more
Yeah.
than it is for the money.
Okay.
But and it's also, I didn't play 10 in them because I'm not winning, but
Right.
I played three because I want to learn more.
It's kind of
And
like the horse races. You bet on the ostrich race.
I wouldn't go quite
Because
that
it's
far,
like,
but
because at least, well, I've never really bet on ostriches. Hell, I may be the best ostrich handicapper ever. So, you
well,
know,
my analogy was it's
those
like
long legs, Dennis, with them talons can grab on the deep dirt. So that's what an old guy told me down at the track. Hot dog man,
there you
he
go.
bets deep talons on the dirt for the ostriches.
That's
I don't know if you've seen those races. They'll run those every once in a while.
yes,
The
yeah.
ostriches. That's
That
the
sounds
craziest crap ever.
that sounds like the advice I once got in a $5,000 maiden claiming race.
Uh,
Okay, we're talking bottom of the barrel horses here,
uh,
and the guy told me I bet on the horse with the fewest bandages.
yeah, fewer bandages. I like it. The least limp that I can detect. Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
All right.
Dallas, the Jets. Vegas loves Dallas.
Woo-hoo.
26-21. 2.5 points, 47 though. So they're a little bit more high powered game than New Orleans and the
Yep.
Giants. I'm not sure I buy that, but there we go. Dallas is away, so that's never good. I always think Dallas is, really good at home. I don't know that, but yeah, I do with the efficiency. Then I look down 1.78 home away efficiency. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
32%
Wow.
on, 32%, 78% less efficiency away. That's like scary. Uh, Javante Smith he's going to earn his biscuits. Look at that, tough. The Jets play tough. Apparently, they've stuck all their defensive strength into stop and running, and they'll just let passing galore. So looks like it's a Dak, Tolbert, Turpin, Ferguson. Look at that. Looks like a 10
Ooh,
catch Ferguson
big
day.
day
So
for
there's
Ferguson.
your bet right there. Play Dallas as your streaming D as well. That looks good. And of course, the Jets play them all basically because Dallas can't stop anything. They can't, stop their nose from running. So it's there it is. So I don't know if 47 is enough. This looks like it's
No.
all about passing, tons and tons of passing. It could be 4 passing touchdowns in this game. This could get crazy, maybe 5. Dallas is very efficient at home, very sucky away. The efficiency between the two, Dennis, is almost the same. So there's no advantage there. Dallas loves home. They're not. Jets are good either way. And tendency, Dallas doesn't do much away. Look at that, 29% and 60% less. So they don't do
Wow.
anything.
Wow.
The Jets, on the other hand, at home, they want to rush, rush, rush and not pass. But I think with this scenario, it's going to invite them to do both. I think the Jets are going to be more balanced than Dallas. I think Javante is the key. If he has a good game, Dallas wins. That's what I say. But
So,
are you at?
yeah.
So I think if I was betting this, I bet Dallas is the pick 'em because I think Javante will do enough to keep Dallas in the game. And I think Dax just it's going to be a circus with if they didn't have Ferguson, I'd be worried about
Oh,
Dallas.
yes. Yes, yes, yes.
In other words, that is the key for passing. I think he's the check down guy, he's the short guy, and they'll chew up 8 to 10 yard passing, and that will confound the Jets. And I think that's how Dallas wins. But if Javante has a sucky day, Jets could upset. It wouldn't surprise me the Jets upset. To me, this is one of the most vulnerable games of the week in my pick 'em. I really went back and forth on this. I've settled right now. I have settled on Dallas, but I don't know. And let's see, is this Jets? Any weather? Anything we need to worry about in our calculations, Dennis, or injuries that you remember? I don't
Well,
remember anything.
no, weather-wise should be fine. It's actually going to be a warm, unusually warm day in the
Right.
80s
Mhm.
for New York. So, but I'm not expecting any rain.
Uh-huh.
Uh, Not expecting, super strong winds like 10,
Okay.
12
So
mile an hour
nothing
will
to
be all,
change the calculus there.
except for the heat, because that might mean that you see less touches for the running backs. You might see more backup running back play.
Hmm.
Um, is the possibility.
So
I love
Jaden Blue, is that what you're telling me?
Jaden Blue could be
A
coming off the
surprise.
bench to play a little bit.
Is he going to
Now
vulture by
he's
Javante
he's not not
scoring?
not likely to take touchdowns away, but he could take a couple of
Passing?
pass catching opportunities away from him. Although, will they trust a rookie to protect Dak's backside?
I don't know.
They've been actually using their fullback on
Uh-huh.
some passing downs occasionally to give Dak that extra blocker. He hasn't been out in too many routes, but that's kind of been the way they've kept Javante, from being worn out. Is they've occasionally subbed him out on obvious passing downs. Love the Dallas pass catchers here. I'm guessing Tolbert because he's probably healthier than
Right.
Turpin right now, and of course, big game for Pickens again, and big game
For
for
Ferguson.
Ferguson again. Love Dak in this one. Love Fields in this one. I think he's going to run all day on that Dallas defense. I wouldn't be surprised. It wouldn't shock me to see uh, Fields go over 100 yards rushing in this game
Right.
against
Right.
Dallas. Uh, Love him. Love Brees Hall. Love, Garrett Wilson has been. I put out my article this week at the
Oh,
quarter pole looking at
yeah.
everybody.
Yeah.
Garrett Wilson was one of my favorite forecast successes of the year.
Right.
And it surprised me when I was so on him because I've been against him the last 2 years. And
Right.
this year I was like, give me as much Garrett Wilson as I can get. Got a ton of him in redraft and very happy with that. I'm taking the Jets. I'm taking the over. I think this is going to be closing in on 60 points.
Wow. You're more
All right.
aggressive. Yep.
Let's
Okay.
let's look at one more Let's look at KC and Jacksonville. We talked about this in the
Number
in
14,
a little
yeah.
bit about our dynasty
Decision
decision, but let's
26,
yeah.
19, so 27, 20, 46 and a half, 3 points, 3.5 spread. KC, Jacksonville at home, though. It's all about ETN and the rush because the passing Lawrence is going to be running for his life. And I would not play either defense. I would be cautious about Brian Thomas. Cautious doesn't mean I wouldn't play him, but just cautious. The Daps are little rough there. And it looks like Jacksonville is not going to have the dynamic situation that they need to beat KC. KC, uh, pretty much, Kelsey's the only one that's going to have to earn his biscuits. It looks like passing is the order of the day to the wide receivers or the running backs in the backfield. That's what we're thinking with Smith. So that's how it looks to me. Is Mahomes keeps away from the Jackson D, and KC's D wins the game for them. So it could be an under because KC might not need more than 26 points. So it's really, can Jacksonville's offense, Lawrence, beat the KC defense? There's your question if you want to focus on efficiency. KC is 20% better, 61 versus 47. Jacksonville really doesn't like home. They like away about 10% more. Home, they're below league average in passing and catching. So they do better away. And KC loves to pass, Dennis, away. Doesn't like to rush as much. So Pacheco may not get as much running as you think. But he again, we may be misreading. Pacheco may be the pass catcher and not Smith. I mean, that was our debate in that. So, but I'm betting KC and probably not betting much else. Hopefully, Kelsey can get something for me. I need Strange to accidentally stumble in to the end zone. So there's my accidental tough parlay, is taking both those in game to try to get 5 or 6 catches. If I don't know if I can bet that parlay, but I might.
Love Kansas City here. I think they're going to win this game comfortably, but I don't think they're going to need to score a lot of points.
That's what I said. Yeah.
I'm thinking maybe 17-24 is all they'll have to do. I think they could hold Jacksonville to 10 in this game. I think
It could
they
be,
could be
Dennis.
yeah. I like the under is my favorite bet. KC, yeah, I think 3.5 is not enough. I think they comfortably win this by 7-10. Now
Wow.
Casey just doesn't like to blow people out, so that's why I don't think it'll be a big scoring game. I am really scared of playing anybody on Jacksonville in the passing game in this one.
I'm
Uh,
not playing
I
Thomas
like
myself.
ETN.
I've
Yeah,
got to play Strange in a few places with Kraft
yeah,
off.
I
I
do
mean, I'm
too.
stuck.
I do too. And I think the only thing is, I think Jacksonville's going to have to pass more than these
And so
DAPs
he might get,
suggest.
like I said,
Yeah.
if I can get 10 points, keep me in the game, as you say. That's what I need.
Yeah. And here's the thing is even though it's an easy matchup on paper for the Jacksonville rushers,
Yep.
and that is ETN,
Yep.
Spagnola takes the best player on the opposing team out of the game. He
Well,
just does.
that's
And I
ETN.
think
Yeah.
he'll find a way to limit ETN's success in this game. Yeah, you're still playing ETN if you drafted him, and he was a great draft pick if you took him, by the way. I was
Yep.
bragging about the guy all preseason long. He's played back to his back class. But Casey in the under here,
Yep. Yep.
and be very cautious about what you start with Jacksonville. Yeah, you kind of have to play Brian Thomas if you drafted him. You definitely got to play Strange if he, if Kraft was your main guy and he's off for the bye week. But otherwise, don't get too excited at all.
Great.
I lost. Oh, here we go. Yep,
Great.
got it back. I was getting a warning that I was losing. Do I got you?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hello?
Hello.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got the warning that I was. Yeah, I got you. I got you.
Okay. Shut it down.
Uh-oh. Can you
Uh-oh.
hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, let's close it down. Here we go. So head on over to the scienceoffantasyfootball.com. Check out my latest articles. Check out all the data that the professor will post to give you help with choices. Head on over to the sports affiliation and check out
Our matchup
coming later today to the internet near you, and come on back
next week. That's right. Next week.
week.
Uh-oh. Yep. Come back, folks.
For another edition
Uh-oh.
of the science of
Football.
fantasy
Woo-woo.